You might have heard the expression fanging it. And what does that mean? If you hear, oh, they were fanging it, it means that somebody was driving really quickly. But where does that expression come from? The expression, as it turns out, fanging it is short for Fangio. It was derived from the Argentinian Formula One driver Juan Manuel Fangio, who he won 5 drivers' world titles in the 50s, and to this day he's considered one of the all-time greats of the sport. Now, the reason that I mention Fangio is that he told a story about his earlier years as a racing driver, his younger years. And he said that when he started out, he would hold on for dear life. He would grip the steering wheel like this. He would hold on for dear life like that. And it wasn't until he became a bit more experienced that he learned that you steer better with your fingertips. When you're trying to hold on like that, you don't have the same sensitivity for the car that you do when you steer with your fingertips. When you hold it, but not too tight. And it also relates to the expression, a watched pot never boils. Maybe this happened to you back in the day, especially, I know it for me, especially before texting was a thing, especially before everybody had a mobile phone. Yeah, I remember those days. I'm old enough to remember those days. But do you remember you were waiting you'd be waiting on a phone call, maybe it was about a job, or maybe it was from one of your friends to find out what plans were for the weekend, or maybe it was that special girl or that guy, and it felt like you had to put your entire life on hold until they gave you that phone call, because then that would set you free. And how long did you spend waiting for that call to come through, if it came through at all? I think also of this movie that my sister used to love watching when she was little. It was the Disney adaptation of Cinderella. But if you've seen it, you'll know that there's a scene right near the end, and it's when the prince has sent out to find Cinderella, and they're going to all the houses in the kingdom to find whose foot fits the glass slipper that Cinderella left behind. And Cinderella's been locked away by her stepmother, and the stepsisters are downstairs trying to prove that they're the mystery girl whose foot fits the slipper. Of course, their feet are too big. And when Cinderella manages to break out of the room that she's been stowed away in, she comes downstairs to find one of her stepsisters trying to stuff her foot into her slipper that's obviously too small. And the sister's going, "I'll make it fit!" And like her foot's arched like that. Like this is the shoe, and her foot's arched like that. And it's barely stuffing itself in. Then of course it springs out, and the slipper flies through the air, and one of the guards manages to catch it before it breaks. But that's when I think of people trying too hard, that scene is the one that comes to mind. I'll make it fit, and that's the paradox. Because when we want something too intensely, when you want something, you can try too hard. You can do as Juan Fangio said. You can grip too tightly. I know this when I was a kid playing video games. If I got to a level that I hadn't got to before, or an extra difficult level, I'd start holding the controller tightly, and I'd be button mashing, and that never went well for me. I don't know if it worked for you if you played games, but I know for me, it was only when I stopped trying too hard. It was only when I took a step back and I played the same way I'd played up to that point that I actually did better. And again, that's the problem. When you hang on too tightly to something, when you pursue something too tightly, you can miss the finer details. Without meaning to get too woo-woo about it, but it's almost like your energy, that additional energy actually pushes that desired goal or person. It pushes it away from you. So, what's the secret then? If you've actually got to make an effort for something and you can't try too hard, then where's that perfect middle ground? The perfect middle ground is in doing whatever steps you have to do to achieve something, understanding the process and having the know-how and brushing up on that as best you can, but doing it with detachment, not getting so emotionally invested into something. You notice when How many times has it happened that you're in a hurry to be somewhere, and it just seems like there's red lights, or suddenly there's a bus that pulls out in front of you and it's a dual carriageway, and you can't overtake, or you're late for a flight, and the flight, you're trying to get to the airport, and the same thing happens, doesn't it? You're stuck in traffic, or there's just suddenly all these pedestrians that cross the road, but you have to get to the airport on time. You have to make it here. You have to do this by a certain time. You have to meet this person, and it's that holding on too tight that actually diminishes your ability, and it actually diminishes your thinking as well. You've got to have a clear mind about stuff. So that's why you've got to find that ideal middle ground. You want to do it, but don't hold on too tightly. Be detached enough. Be prepared to walk away if the situation that presents itself isn't to your liking, because desperation is not fun and it pushes people away. And what's the payoff of doing this? If you can stop waiting around for that pot to boil, or for that person to get back to you, if you can stop waiting for that phone call, that opportunity, and you just do it, and you do it consistently and have that air of detachment about it, well, the payoff is that your time's better spent, because often you can find other things to be doing while you're waiting for that breakthrough. And that's time that you don't get back. So the more wisely that you can spend your available time, then if that desired result, or that desired person, or whatever it is that you want, if that does come along, then hey, at least you did all this other stuff in the meantime while you're waiting. Second of all is that your energy's better spent. You've got, instead of just focusing all of your energy, harnessing all your energy just on this one goal and hanging on so tightly, you're more at ease with yourself, and that equals better well-being as well. You're not so stressed, you're not so wound up, you sleep better, you live out your day-to-day better, just everything feels better. That's the best way that I can put it. On top of that also is you develop a confidence about you. As time goes on, you develop this confidence and this sense of ease. Instead of trying to push things so hard, it's more a sense of, you know what, I've either got what it takes or I don't have what it takes yet, but I'll get there, I'll develop it. And you just focus on bettering yourself day after day. And I've spoken about that before. I've spoken about how just 1% of improvement every single day can have huge payoffs in not even a year. So I wanted to leave you with that one today, guys. If there's something that you're waiting to achieve, if there's a certain result that you're looking for, a certain opportunity to come along, a certain somebody that you're looking to meet, whether that's in your personal life or in your professional life or perhaps your artistic life, anything like that, find that perfect middle ground. Do everything that you can, but don't push too hard. Don't grip the steering wheel too tightly, because you steer yourself better through life with your fingertips.